to you today about our fantastic virtual clinics that we use within our school nursing service. So our virtual clinics are tools that we use to help communicate with our service users, and it's a good tool so they can have access to health professional advice. It's also another option for our school nurse toolkit. Our virtual clinics are used as additional tools to communicate with young people. So as everybody has already stressed to you today, it's not to replace face-to-face care, it's purely to have it as an additional tool to communicate with them. We have two types of virtual clinics, and these are Skype clinics and online web chats, and Caroline's going to start talking to you about the specifics of these.
We piloted Skype in one of our rural areas for just over a year. Really the feedback was coming from the nurse. Actually, they were travelling quite far to get to their schools in the rural areas, and so obviously that was taking them time. And also it wasn't cost effective kind of for her to keep doing that. But also for the young people, they wanted appointments with their school nurse, but actually those clinics were full, so she'd have to maybe say to them, I can see you, but it won't be until next week. So we wanted to make the school nurse more accessible and more visible, but in a kind of cost effective and time efficient way.
So it allows young people to have an alternative way of accessing the school nurse, especially if they're nervous or apprehensive about going to have a face-to-face contact. It's also another tool that we use to offer our service users who want to seek that health support and advice.
So again, along with everything that we kind of do as of our digital package, we had to make sure that it was safe and secure. So that included the use of Skype itself. Was that the best kind of tool for us to use? So we did lots around the information security use of Skype. We also wrote guidance to accompany the virtual clinic. So, for example, as I said earlier to you, it's about supporting our nurses and protecting our nurses as well as the young people. Some of the safeguards that we put into place are things like, for example, because this was being run in a school, in a clinic environment, we did something like we identified a safe person. So, for example, if that young person made a disclosure and then just walked out the room, ordinarily a nurse would be able to follow them. However, obviously that's not possible on Skype. It's good, but it's not that good. So we identified the person to be able to, for us to contact should that happen and follow that young person up.
Okay, so now we're going to show you a short video from a school nurse called Tamsin. Tamsin has been piloting Skype clinics within her school in a rural area. Hopefully we can get this video for you. It's a short 2-minute video.
It's definitely given them a different day. So if it's always when I go into school for Monday drop-in, I do my appointments before the drop-in. The drop-in tends to be the condoms and the sort of like sexual health contacts, whereas the appointments before are emotional health. But if they're doing PE, for example, and they don't want to come out of their PE lesson, then they'll say, oh, Monday's not a good day with me. Are you in any other day? And I say, we can have a Skype appointment on a Friday. So there's much more flexibility for them, and also then there's not the time pressure on me travelling. There's a problem that comes up on Friday in Skype clinic, I can follow it up on Monday. So for example, a girl came to see me on the Friday because she was worried she was pregnant and she bought a pregnancy test, but she wanted to know how to use it. So I was able to go through it over Skype and had a look at everything, and she felt confident to use it on the Friday evening. But then I was following her up on Monday to use one of our tests with her, and I'd done some safe work over Skype with her to make sure that she would know what to do if she did have a positive pregnancy test.
So there's improved choice. Do you think there's anything about using Skype that is impactful for like the smartphone generation? And I'm thinking more along the lines of, you know, maybe they feel a bit more comfortable sometimes when they've got that perceived distance. Is there anything like that comes into play or not?
Yes, it's absolutely like face-to-face clinic. I've had one girl who was absolutely, when I saw her face-to-face in the clinic, then she said, then she looked at the floor, she would never look at me, she mumbled, she wasn't really able, I was very worried about her having depression, but she wasn't really able to interact. But when I saw her on Skype, she was a completely different person. And she said, when I got her feedback, that she felt less anxious, and she preferred me not being in the room, she was able to talk openly. It was incredible. I think she's my biggest success story with Skype, because the difference was just phenomenal. But then some other young people, I'll offer them a Skype appointment and they'll say, oh no, I don't want to do that, it's weird. But when it comes down to it, that's the only appointment slot I've got, and they take it and they say, oh yeah, it's exactly the same, I like it.
What's your advice to any other nurses that might be adopting this way of working?
Yeah, I think definitely give it a go. I'm changing my hours. I'm going to be going to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 hours rather than 6 hours over 4 days. I'm going to be doing 8 hours over 3 days. Because it's working so well for me, I'm even considering going to having Skype 1 week and face-to-face the next week. It might be that I do Skype in the morning from the office so that I can pick up phone calls and answer the door if I need to, and support the team, and then go out and do my condom service over lunchtime. So give the school the same offer, but then I haven't got the same sort of I'm still able to contribute as a team player and all of those sorts of things that are important.
Sorry, that was a bit squeaky.
So, moving on from that squeaky video. This is one of Tamsin's digital images that she's created. So, she advertises her Skype clinics throughout her rural school by creating these digital images, and most schools nowadays have TV screens in receptions, in the library and dotted around the school. So she's posted these on those TV screens to promote that. What she's also done is create stickers for students' diaries, so that's promoted that way, and also on the school bulletin and on the school's website. So Skype clinics have allowed us to have increased contact with service users. So Tamsin's been, as part of the pilot, Tamsin's had 38 additional contacts, and that's increased her contact time by 50%, which is absolutely fantastic. So, as part of the pilot, Caroline, Tamsin and I went out to the rural school to get feedback from young people to see what they thought about the Skype clinics. So looking at this slide, it might be difficult for you to see actually, but we found that 91% of young people knew about the Skype clinic within the school. 85% said a Skype clinic could improve someone's health and well-being, and 70% said they would attend a Skype clinic in the future. Some of the key positives we can take away from this is that it helps shy people, it builds trust, it's less scary, and it's not as nerve-wracking.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the web chats element of our virtual clinics. So as you can see with this sad-looking cat, we advertise and host our web chats on our Health for Teens website that you heard about earlier. So they're weekly chats from 4:30 till 5 on a Monday. And really the aim of web chats was to encourage peer-to-peer support, but in a kind of moderated and safe environment. So the chats are opened and closed outside of those hours, and so that means that then young people and socials can't post on the web chats during those hours when it wouldn't have been seen. It still enables confidentiality and young people to be anonymous, so they sign up to terms and conditions. They have to agree not to share confidential and personal patient identifiable information, but also it creates them an alias name, so they can feel comfortable in sharing information on there. Again, we wrote guidance to go alongside the use of this. I get all the great jobs. We wrote the guidance to go alongside this, and we've working with kind of other professionals to make sure that the web chats are kind of current. And we were talking earlier, weren't we, about how we respond to kind of new things that are hitting the media and stuff like that, and that's definitely what we use the web chats for, as a platform to that, to respond to different things that come up. So recently we've done lots on online safety because of kind of something that happened quite locally. So yeah. Okay, so looking at the next slide, we host lots of different topics throughout the year, so it gets updated on a weekly basis, and each week we have a different topic. So some of the topics that we've had, again you probably can't see at the back, but we've had things like bullying, anger management, sex consent in the law, exam stress, anxiety. As we know, in school nursing we get a high number of mental health and emotional health and well-being, so we also link in with that. We also link in with key public health messages as well. So
events throughout the year as well, so things like Stoptober, we do smoking cessation web chat and linking in with those events throughout the year. So these are our top 10 viewed web chats. So anxiety, we had 388 views. Sex consent and the law, we had 299 and so on. So we are getting quite a high number of people watching our online web chats.